Okay, hello everybody. Today we're here in JustFlight's Piper Arrow 3 in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. We have a 49 nautical mile flight from Tango Echo Bravo Teterboro to Foxtrot Romeo Golf Republic. We'll be navigating using visual, VOR, DME, and NDB navigation, and we'll be flying a practice NDB approach with a procedure turn. Should be fun, so let's hop into the cockpit and get started. Today we're back at Flightbeam Studios Teterboro, which is one of my favorite airports. Okay, Floyd is not with us for this flight if you watched my last couple of videos. Instead, I need to work on my practice instrument approaches, so I've got CFI Monica sitting along with us on today's flight. If you've watched my other videos, you know this is a custom checklist that I made for the JustFlight Piper Arrow because it didn't come with built-in checklists. However, I saw in the forums that JustFlight will release a checklist with the next patch. So I'm happy actually that mine will be obsolete and it will be built into the game with JustFlight's aircraft. Alright, we are departing north from Teterboro. We'll pick up flight following on the ground. And we're going to fly past Alpine Tower like we normally do to cross the Hudson. However, we're going to use nearby Sparta VOR to give us our distance and radial guidance. So we're going to intercept radial 110 from Sparta and fly using the DME to a distance of 38 nautical miles. That'll tell us where to turn so that we can intercept the 152 heading to Babylon NDB, which we'll need for our NDB approach. Once we arrive at Babylon NDB, we're going to fly the published NDB approach for runway 1. Looking at the plate, it might be a bit confusing if you are not used to reading IFR plates, but it's pretty straightforward. Babylon NDB is the initial approach fix and is south of the airport near the shoreline. You can see from the dotted oval that it's also the hold location for missed approaches. When we arrive at the NDB, we'll fly heading 169 descending to an altitude of 1600. We'll then have to do a procedure turn to reverse our course and fly a heading of 349. Once on heading 349, we will follow that heading directly to the field. We'll need to hit an altitude of 1,100 at 3.3 nautical miles from the field. Since our approach speed is less than 91 knots, we are Category A, which means our minimums are 540 feet at 1 mile. You'll notice there's altitude requirements for the final approach fix and the procedure turn, but there's none for the initial approach fix. So what altitude do we need to arrive at Babylon at? You can find the answer in the minimum sector altitude diagram, which shows you what altitudes we need to stay above based on the direction we're arriving from. So we're arriving from 152, which means we need to stay above 1,900 feet within 25 nautical miles of Babylon. The purpose of this procedure turn is to reverse our course, so we're going to do a 45-180 turn, which means we'll turn 45 degrees, 180 degrees, and 45 degrees again to flip us back around opposite the direction we're traveling and put us on the correct heading back to the NDB that we started out with. We'll need to use the yoke timer for each of those and time our segments so that we know when to turn at each leg of the procedure turn. Lastly, like many NDB and VOR approaches, this does not bring you straight into the runway. The heading from the NDB to the runway is 349, but the magnetic heading of the runway is 359. So we'll need to make a 10-degree turn right on final to line up with the runway. Okay, I've got Sparta VOR dialed into nav1 and coupled to CDI1. We'll set heading 110 on the OBS, and that's what we're going to intercept as we're heading north of Teterboro. And we've got the DME connected to nav1, so we'll know our distance from Sparta VOR, which is how we'll know when to turn when we want to head direct towards the NDB. Teterboro ground, Piper 359 Golf Charlie with information India. We are a P28A slant uniform, request flight following destination Republic, Foxtrot Romeo Golf, cruise altitude 2,500. On departure, fly heading 030, maintain VFR at or below 1,500, maintain clear New York class Bravo airspace, departure 119.2, squawk 2313, November 359 Golf Charlie. Teterboro ground, Piper 359 Golf Charlie with information India, signature west, north departure, ready to taxi. Taxi and hold short, runway 24 via Papa Lima, November 359 Golf Charlie. I've mentioned it in previous videos, but this airport is just outstanding if you love flying VFR, general aviation aircraft, because it's packed with them, and it's a fantastic area to fly around. Teterboro ground, Piper 359 Golf Charlie, holding short, runway 24. Cross, runway 24, taxi runway 1, run-up area via Lima, Piper 359 Golf Charlie. We're streaming live ATC from live ATCnet for Teterboro Airport, and I love hearing all of the real traffic going on. We'll pull over here into the run-up area and go through a quick run-up.
Set 2000 RPM. Magnetos.
Teterboro ground, Piper 359 Golf Charlie, continue. Taxi and hold short, runway 1, Piper 359 Golf Charlie. Forgot to set my heading bug, so let's get that set for our initial heading of 030. Teterboro Tower, Piper 359 Golf Charlie, holding short, runway 1. Cleared for departure, runway 1, Piper 359 Golf Charlie.
Runway 24, clear for takeoff from 3403 Golf 14. Teterboro Tower, runway 24, line up and wait. Line up and wait, runway 24, set at 22. Clear Lake 592, contact 0 departure on 119.2, good.
Okay, the Piper was pretty squirrely, and then I thought it got fixed with the last patch, but here we go, careening off the left side of the runway once again. So let's pull up here and get back on center line so I can take back all the nice things I said in my last video about them having fixed that. And I'm not sure, to be honest, you know, we can blame JustFlight. A lot of the aircraft in Microsoft Flight Simulator have this behavior on the ground. It seems like you just lose control right before takeoff, probably because the weight's lifting up and you're just not getting a lot of control from the wheels anymore. But we're live. My CFI is arching an eyebrow at me with a very disapproving look. So we're off to a bad start. Hopefully the rest of the flight will go better. So we've got our flaps up here above 300. Now as we're passing 400, we can make our initial turn to 030. Roll out on course. Get our prop adjusted here. The needle on CDI-1 is swinging towards the center, so we're almost at our turn. And there it is, it's centered up. So we're going to turn to heading 110 and fly the 110 radial from Sparta. Okay, we're crossing the Hudson. We're well north of the exclusion zone, so we are good. Let's sit back and enjoy some of that awesome flight simulator scenery. the procedure turn was not hard to do. The most difficult part of it was just managing my altitude, and I was happy to see that I rolled out right on course coming out of the turn. So it was fun doing something different and doing a practice NDB approach and flying VFR like we always do, using old school tools to get there. So if you enjoy content like this, be sure to leave me a comment, click that like button, and don't forget to subscribe. As always, thanks a lot for flying along with me, and stay tuned for further flight adventures.